Well, let's dive right into the Epstein-Maxwell emails. My gosh, Stu. Why are they trying to cover up that Donald Trump had sex with children?
I mean, it's as clear as day in the emails.
Yeah.
He spent hours with one of the victims. What else could possibly have occurred in that arrangement? We don't know.
And it's one of the victims, Stu. One of the victims.
One of the victims.
Okay?
That's all we know. That's all we know. One of the victims.
Let me read what Jeffrey Epstein wrote. I want you to realize that the dog who hasn't barked is Trump. Victim, redacted, victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. Okay. New information just released. Or is it? Because in 2011, that was released and everybody knew it. It's been out floating around. Here's the change. In 2011, this is what it read. I want you to realize the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia spent hours at my house with him. Why would you redact a name that is already out in the public square? It's already out. The memo is already out. The email is already out. It's been out for years. Why would you redact that name now? Well, because it makes it all suddenly new and shiny. Shiny and new. If you don't know who said it, you see victim and you're like, oh, there's a victim that he was, who was the victim? I don't know. But when you know it's Virginia, you know this is already gone to court. She already testified about this. He didn't partake in any of this, any sex with any of it. It's true. He didn't partake in any sex with us. And I'm quoting, this is from the testimony. But it's not true that he flirted with me. Donald Trump never flirted with me. Have you ever met him? Yes, at Mar-a-Lago, my dad and him. I wouldn't say they were friends, but my dad knew him and they would talk. Have you ever been in Donald Trump or Jeffrey Epstein's presence with one another? No. What's the basis of your statement that Donald Trump is a good friend of Jeffrey? Jeffrey's told me that Donald Trump is a good friend of his. He didn't partake in any of the sex with any of it. He flirted with me. It's true that he didn't partake in any sex with us, but it's not true that he flirted with me. So I don't understand that. But she goes on. Donald Trump never flirted with me. Okay. So what's new about this? This is the same girl. This is the same person that didn't she work at Mar-a-Lago, or she was going to get a job at Mar-a-Lago?
I believe she did. Yeah, I believe she did at one point.
So we know they know each other. We know that at Mar-a-Lago, Jeffrey Epstein would come and he was poaching the employees, the girls there, to go work for him. And Donald Trump went to him and said, hey, man, stop it. Stop poaching people from me. That's not cool. Don't do it. And then he said, oh, yeah, all right. And then he did it a second time. And he's like, you know what? You're out. I don't want you here anymore. I asked you not to do that, and you did it. Now, that doesn't mean that he knew anything about the girls or what was happening or anything else. And even if it did mean he knew something was happening with the girls, he was saying, hey, stop it. Don't take any of the girls or the women here. Don't do it. I don't believe he knew anything about any of this, but God only knows, and really God only knows. This is not new news. Donald Trump, he might end up beating Bezos as the richest man on the planet when all is said and done. Because again, they're presenting this as new fact, a giant scandal. Stu, I don't know if you know this. This breaking news is a giant scandal.
Yeah, I've heard Democratic representatives saying that over the past 24 hours. Like, yeah, we need to investigate this. We need to vet this. This is shocking stuff. It's a massive scandal. And even ABC News, I heard push back against this and say, well, what scandal? What are you implying occurred here? We know who the victim was. We know the victim. Like, why did you even redact that name? And they're like, well, we always redact the name of victims. Like, do you really when they're already out publicly? Not to mention, we should point out that this particular victim is not even alive. She sadly died. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible story.
Terrible story. Terrible story.
But yeah, she passed away. She's suicide. It was at least the report, I believe. But she has a book, posthumous book coming out. But like a terrible, terrible story. It's but like to act as if you have to protect her identity when number one, she's dead.
Ridiculous.
Number two, everyone already knew who she was, including the news sources who also have a policy. You would think, and ABC News has a policy that they would redact a victim that was in this type of situation, but it's already been out. We already knew who it was, so they redact it to make it look like he's with other people who have not already told us nothing bad occurred. It is an absolutely awful tactic, and at least one.
I think litigation should follow again. I think he should sue them again. Anyone who is presenting this as new information. ABC did their job. Congratulations for ABC. They did their job. They pointed out this is not new information. Why would you why are you releasing this now? And you're redacting a name. This email is already out. You're presenting this as a new scandal, and you redacted that name. This is completely dishonest. The news media shouldn't even run with it. They shouldn't have even run with it. They should have said old news, old news. And if you did run with it, you should handle it the way ABC handled it. Wait a minute. Why would you redact the name? There's nothing new here. What do you mean there's a big scandal? There's no big scandal. She's already testified against exactly opposite of what you're believing Jeffrey Epstein over the victim now. I just want to make sure we understand the Democrats here. You're taking the word of Epstein over the victim. Oh, okay.
And Epstein doesn't even say that anything occurred.
Nope.
That there's not.
Nope.
It's just it would be something you'd have to jump to a conclusion to accuse Donald Trump of something like this. And we know what happened because the victim said nothing. Said it was nothing. In fact, it wasn't even a flirtation, which, by the way, even that you might think it's creepy. It wouldn't even have been a crime. But it wasn't even flirtation. It's a disgrace in every single way.
All right, so let me take you here. If you remember when the shutdown first started, what did the Democrats say? The reason why they did the shutdown, not them. Why Mike Johnson and everybody else wouldn't negotiate? Why wouldn't the Republicans negotiate? Because the heat was on to release the Epstein files, and they didn't want to have to do that, so they shut the government down. Okay, they wouldn't negotiate. You didn't hear any of this?
No, it's incomprehensible. It doesn't make any any sense at all. But that is probably what they said.
So the government is open, and what does Mike Johnson do yesterday? He said the House is going to vote on a bill to release all of the files related to the late financier, convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein next week. He said on Wednesday that a discharged petition to bypass leadership and force a vote on the bill hit the benchmark for needed signatures. It's been decided by him to expedite the vote for the bill, which under the current rules could have been delayed until at least early December. So he says as soon as that petition hit the needed 218 signatures, I brought it up, unanimous consent, let's go, release it. So he's pushing this forward. Good, Mike, release all of it. Thank you. Get it out. Lance this boil. I mean, if anybody thinks that you're ever going to get the truth on this in the first place, it's madness. It's madness. Everybody, I mean, so many important people were involved in this, and it was in the hands of the Democrats for the longest time, okay? So they had all of this information. You don't think it was all picked through? And if there was anything about Donald Trump, you don't think that would have come up between 2020 and 2024? There's nothing in there about Donald Trump. I mean, these people are so stupid. This time we got him, boys. This time we got him. No, you don't. It's like you're Wile E. Coyote. This time we've got the Roadrunner. No, you're never going to catch him on this. It doesn't work. There's nothing there. The guy was the most investigated person in the history of the world, and you got nothing. Now, it's good to come out. But if you think you're going to catch a bunch of people on the left, you're not going to, because they had it, in their possession. You don't think all of the names were taken out? You don't think things were destroyed? If there was anything, I believe there was something, but I don't believe there's any names in it anymore. You're not going to get the truth on this one. You're just not going to get the truth. But release everything that we have. Everything. Oh, by the way, also in the Epstein emails, how come nobody's talking about this one, Stu? This one is from Michael Wolff to Jeffrey Epstein, and then Jeffrey Epstein responds. So Michael Wolff writes, "What's the thumbnail on Nussbaum Foster?" And Jeffrey Epstein writes back, "Nussbaum White House counsel, ... Hillary doing naughties with Vince." Now, Vince Foster killed himself, and then he killed himself in the White House and then drug himself across the street to the park. I don't know. The Vince Foster thing is so old, and it does. But why is nobody talking about that one? Why is no one talking about that? Also in the Jeffrey Epstein email bundle, ABC, you don't feel it's necessary to bring that one up? Huh. Interesting.